Two is Harbor Sales has kind of upped their shipping price. So whether it's this size box or 10 of these boxes, it's 45 bucks. So I try to order as much as I can. I get approximately 20 sheets at a time just to spread that shipping out a little bit. They service us really well. Haven't had any problems with them. What we'll do is we'll cut this to size. You know, on a wing top, when I fold it over, I don't necessarily cut the top to size. I like to fold it over, then mark it where I want to make the cut. Because you lose some of the coral in the cut on the top, on the fold over. So I've personally found out, even if it's another couple steps, I get a better fit if I cut it after it's glued on and ready to fold over, and I can mark it, cut it, and then fold it and glue it. I'll get this measured out to those tips. Two mil is pretty cool to work with. It's real thin, cuts real easy. And what we need to do, you could go back and cut it approximately what it's going to be, but I'm just going to leave it for myself. What we want to do is we want to put an inch mark. And that's where we're going to score it. Let's get a regular standard screwdriver. A couple passes. Real easy to fold it this way, then it'll leave an ugly crease. That one side. Okay. Before I glue those, I want to get this spar set up. I'm going to put probably 3 inches of dihedral in it instead of 5. I've got my splicers, which are just easy yard stick. I'm going to prop this end up. Prop this end up. Alright, I'm just going to measure it with this. 1, 2, 3. See, this one's got to go underneath and this one's got to go on top. That's why I propped the two ends up, so it isn't lopsided. Brick on there for a few minutes. We'll let that set up for a few minutes, that way I can move it and we'll glue up one of the wing panels. Let's get a wing panel glued up. It's going to sit on top of the lip here. What I've kind of found out, and I just remembered this, I should have made this flap 1 1/4 inches instead of 1 inch. But it's okay, it'll still work. If you have the fold line away from the 4 mil, it rolls pretty good. Especially if you got a 4 mil with the flutes running this direction, the flutes will tend to rise up and it'll mess your wing or airfoil up. So I backed that off a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and flash it and glue it. Let it sit there and dots. This joint here needs to be really, really strong because with that bend, sometimes this flat pops. Doesn't happen very often, but if you don't have a good joint, it will. And when you're sticking down the Coro, make sure you don't put it right on top of it. We'll let that set. I'll glue up the other one later. And tomorrow, we can get the spar in there and then start bringing it together as a wing. Alright guys, here's glued up fuselage. Next thing we got to do is we got to make the back end tapered. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a slot. We're going to cut it tapered here and here. And we're going to squeeze it together and glue this. So follow the plans and where it's supposed to be. You want to leave enough here when it squeezes together for the thickness of the rudder, and that's all, no more. Find the center here. This is a little tricky to cut out. So take your time. You are going across the flutes. I found out this little sawing action kind of helps it from really sliding and messing up the piece. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is not perfect at all, but it'll work. The second cut's really tough because there's no support. Oh, you know what? To do this next time, I should get a piece of wood about that width as a support. That'd work out pretty good if anybody wants to try that and let us know how it works. Just thought of something right now that could help out. Okay, pull that piece out. Okay, you'll see that if you try to squeeze that together, it's not going to bow. So what you need to do is you need to relief this a little bit. You know, that's where that block of wood would come in handy. I want to make one of those. Okay, kind of relief that a little bit, then it'll go together really good. Now you want to make sure that this, when you glue this down, it doesn't get twisted. So you want to make sure your ends meet. What you do is you get a piece of yardstick that fits right down inside there. Cut an angle on the bandsaw. Doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to look good. All it's going to do is brace that glue joint. Just use your tape the bottom of it up.